Since I started the newest level of my platformer game, I felt quite good about the direction it's taking. So basically, my goal has just been to finish as much of the level as I can. This means new layouts, challenges, and yes, some more exciting enemies as well. I'll discuss these changes in order for the most part, but I first want to address a really major change to the way visuals work. Previously, the colors of the lights were overlaid on top of the environment, which had a tendency to wash out the colors. And there were ways to work around this, but ultimately I felt the system was too limiting. As it turns out, there are actually better ways to display light. In my case, I really liked using a multiplication blend mode, which multiplies the colors of the environment by the light, which keeps dark areas dark and bright areas bright. But it still tints everything the same color, which makes the effect appear more realistic, I think. I also made the unilluminated areas completely dark. Not for any technical reason, but just because I think it looks cooler, and makes the cave appear darker. Though I realized that dark areas could provide an opportunity for unique challenges, where light is limited in some way, and you have to do something to be guided through safely. That's definitely something for another time though. For now, I want to show you how I fared with the rest of the level. Of course there's the start, which is mostly identical except some minor visual and layout improvements. I think the most notable thing is that the ghost enemy can now be knocked back by an attack, which allows you to destroy it without stopping as much. This also provides a great opportunity for higher level players to beat certain sections much quicker. Anyway, this is where the area used to end. There was sort of just a drop off the side of the room, and I wasn't sure where to take the level next. I realized that I could use the drop to make an interesting transition area, where you navigate around the outside of this structure and re-enter at a lower point. This does mean that there's a bottomless pit, and I generally want to avoid those so that there's fewer opportunities to die with one mistake. But I think it's okay to have them here since it's not too easy to mess up, and if you do, the last checkpoint is very close. Plus, it's a cool set piece, so I'd like to keep it if I can. When you re-enter the structure, you encounter the first new enemy, which is the deformed bird. I actually spent a lot of time thinking of a good movement pattern for it, and what I settled on is that it jumps when it hits the ground and alternates between a high jump and a short jump that lunges at the player. This means that you need to alternate between dodging under it and over it. It has 3 HP, which is enough to require a certain amount of attention, but it's low enough that you're able to land these really satisfying quick kills. In the next room, the deformed bird is combined with some spikes on the ground for an interesting challenge. You have a lot of opportunities to time your attack properly, though it can be quite difficult the first time. If you time it right, you can get a quick kill here as well. These rooms felt sort of empty, so I also added these cages along the ceilings. I think they fit the setting well, but also distinguish these rooms from the previous. Next, you have to jump down a pit, and fall into this room of eye stalks. These enemies have obviously appeared previously, but this is an interesting use of them, surrounding the player on all sides. The escape is to the right, behind one of the eye stalks, so you only have to kill one of them, but you can also kill the others to recover some health. Because remember, that's still a feature in this game, even if I don't mention it much. This room is also a good use of the camera locking features, because it ensures all level elements are visible at once. The next area is really interesting because it marks the first big visual departure of the level. You step onto a bridge that has white lights on it, different from the reds seen earlier. Here, you're rudely harassed by this skull gunner that shoots 3 projectiles at regular intervals. I originally planned on making it a drone type of enemy, but I thought that seemed too boring, so I made it a skull instead. It's not terribly difficult to avoid, especially since it won't hit you at walking speed, but I added a couple of other enemies along the bridge to make it more difficult. First, there's a ghost, which is very easy if you don't stop walking, and a deformed bird, which is significantly more difficult. Tracking both enemies' patterns is an exercise in multitasking, but can be overcome with the right timing of movements and attacks. Once you cross the bridge, the skull gunner gets stuck, and it won't be able to follow you. With the increased elevation at this point, you're also able to kill it to get some more health. There's one final platforming segment before you reach a checkpoint. In the past, I wouldn't have placed a checkpoint as early in the level, but I decided to put it here, not because I fulfilled some quota of challenge, but just because I imagined that if I were to die past this point, it would become really annoying to retread everything before. This is sort of based on my newfound perspective of focusing first on what would make the experience best for a player, before adhering to certain standards. Overall, I think the level is shaping up to be quite interesting visually and gameplay-wise. I would have liked to make more progress on the level layout, though I do find the development is speeding up as I further improve the game's core. If you enjoyed this devlog, consider checking out the previous one to see how I got to this point, or subscribing to stay up to date with future uploads. Thank you. Bye.